A metallic sphere, 40 feet in diameter, appeared off the U.S. East Coast. It didn't transmit a signal or acknowledge any attempt at communication. It simply hovered, perfectly still, just feet above the ocean's surface. The response was immediate. Air Force F-35s arrived to intercept the object, but the engagement turned one-sided almost instantly. Conventional missiles and cannon fire didn't even reach the hull. They were deflected by a reactive barrier that flared to life upon impact, absorbing kinetic energy and leaving the craft entirely undamaged. Brute force failed, so command turned to a technical solution from CERN. They used a specialized payload of liquid nitrogen to flash freeze the object, hoping to make its atomic structure brittle enough to shatter. The drop was a success, but the sphere adjusted its internal temperature in seconds, rendering the attack useless. The object wasn't acting like an attacker. It only reacted when struck, and its path took it directly through local power grids and communication hubs, ignoring the surrounding population. It was absorbing our data while we were busy testing its armor. While the sphere traversed the East Coast, analysts at NASA headquarters tracked a faint radiation trail back to its origin point, looking for any other activity in the solar system. They found it near Jupiter. Long-range telescopes detected 10 identical spheres parked in deep space, holding a stable orbit. The fleet near Jupiter was waiting. The Scout on Earth was systematically mapping the planet's defense parameters and power infrastructure, likely preparing the way for a coordinated arrival. This wasn't an isolated incident. Every missile we fired and every sensor we used was giving the Jupiter fleet a complete profile of our military capabilities. Dr. Jeff Moro began reviewing drone footage of the sphere's movement through New York and New Jersey, searching for any moment where its defense fluctuated. He found a discrepancy when the craft entered a high-voltage power substation. As it moved past the transformers, the shield momentarily distorted. For a few seconds, the sphere came to a complete halt, as if the local electrical surge was interfering with its navigation. Moro deduced that the shield is reactive, not static. It draws power from a central core to reinforce the exact spot where it detects an incoming strike. This conservation of energy is what allows it to stay active indefinitely. If the shield is hit by a massive electromagnetic pulse, every sensor on the sphere triggers at once. The surge forces the craft to draw more power than its core can sustain, causing the entire barrier to collapse while the systems attempt to reset. This identified the sphere's singular vulnerability. It isn't unkillable. It's simply efficient. If we can trigger a total system overload, its physical hull is exposed. With the craft moving toward Washington, D.C., military planners used the city's predictable layout to create an urban kill zone. They lined the route with synchronized EMP generators. These units were tuned to fire simultaneously, creating a localized electromagnetic storm designed to flood the sphere's sensors from every angle. While the EMPs suppressed the shield, a fleet of Black Hawk helicopters and F-15s would deliver a concentrated barrage of conventional missiles. Without the reactive barrier, the sphere's metallic hull would have to absorb the full impact. We moved from a desperate reactive defense to a targeted offensive. The goal was no longer to overpower the machine, but to exploit the energy limits of its own technology. As the sphere crossed into the perimeter near the White House, the EMP generators fired. The air around the object ionized, and the glowing barrier flickered and died. The shield stayed down. For a brief window, the alien probe sat stationary in the air, its sensors blinded and its primary defense mechanism offline. Earth also utilized a classified orbital network. Satellites equipped with directed energy platforms, normally used for communications, were reconfigured to fire concentrated beams from the International Space Station. Orbital lasers struck from above, while ground-based missiles impacted from below. The combined force pierced the exposed hull and detonated its internal power core. The destruction was achieved by perfect timing. By stripping the defense with an EMP, our standard weapons finally had the access they needed to finish the job. The destruction of the Scout was instantly detected by the fleet near Jupiter. Their primary data source on Earth had been neutralized. The Armada reversed its trajectory. These ships were likely sent to an easy target, a planet that couldn't stop a single probe. Once humanity proved it could identify and exploit a critical weakness in their Scout, the risk of a full-scale invasion no longer favored the fleet. We didn't need to match their level of technology to win. By observing how the enemy functioned, humanity was able to turn their most advanced defense into their fatal flaw.